is something that you'd want to do on an independent film. But there's lots of things you can do with visual effects to help your independent film. Those things are like, what you want to have in a computer monitor that's on the set. I generally will recommend that you have nothing in the monitor at all, and that we add that in later on, and then you have storytelling choices about how you want to manipulate that material that's in the computer monitor, as an example. There's a lot of small things that people don't think of as visual effects that they mess up on set because they didn't plan it as a visual effect. Don't put pieces of tape in the corner of computer monitors. We don't need that. We have to paint those out before we can even start working on the shot. That's going to suddenly add another $500 to that shot, to $1,000 to that shot, just to fix the stuff that got screwed up. You don't actually need that. It's those kinds of things that you want to think about before you shoot, how you're actually going to have these kinds of shots in your film. And thinking about shots like that, computer monitors, somebody's got a wire behind them to pull them back to like simulate a gunshot. That wire's got to be painted out. Some of these things can be planned and discussed ahead of time in ways that will prevent you from spending far too much money in post trying to fix the things that you were trying to do in production.
That's all really great advice, and just to add to that, I would say have a VFX plan of attack. I've been talking about workflow and just bringing up that word again and again and again, but the point is, if you're going to go ahead and have VFX in your film, you can start talking to the post house about that too, as well as your VFX vendor, and make sure that those two entities are talking to each other as well, because the last thing you want to find out is that how one of those entities approach the work, say color-wise, affects how we would do our color. For example, now there's a certain look baked into the VFX plates when they come to us, and we can't change them. They don't match the rest of your film. So there's a lot of things that you may not think about. We're like, well, we're going to have just 5 VFX shots in this movie, and that's it. Involve us in that conversation so that we're making sure that your picture quality is going to translate all the way across. It's going to come from your own egg. It's going to get pulled. It's going to go to a VFX house. They're going to do their work. It's going to come back to us. We have to color on top of that, making sure that how we're exchanging those files is correct and works for that particular film's workflow is very important. The last thing you want to do is find out that you're married to a look that you can't change. Now you have to change the rest of the movie to match that look, and it's not necessarily what you wanted. So again, talk to your post house sooner rather than later, so we can work with you on that and figure out how we're going to approach it.
All right. Our policy in general is when we do our visual effects, we match the camera original, so that there's no problem in color correction. When it goes to color, they can put the same LUT on it that they're putting on the rest of your camera original. We have a copy of that LUT, and we use it for viewing purposes to see how our effect will work when the final LUT is applied, so that we can work into that. But we never bake our LUTs into visual effects, and I think that's any visual effects company that does that, I think, is making a big mistake. And I know there's some that do, but I agree with you. That's not the correct approach.
All right, so I'm just gonna move on to questions. We have time for literally 2 questions, so they have to be the 2 best questions. Who has the 2 best? A lot of pressure.
There's 3
Okay, go ahead.
What's the name of that book? I didn't get it down to sound.
Oh yeah, it's
That doesn't count.
The Universal
That one doesn't count.
Sense, How Hearing Shapes the Mind. You can ask me after too.
Universal
Yeah.
sense.
And we'll send this out to you via email. Vincent.
I want to add, as an actor and director, to fellow directors here, probably the thing that has broken my heart the most is when I'm on a location and I realize that the sound is not going to be able to be original. It's an awful feeling to know you've created something that you're going to have to recreate later, and the spontaneity is going to be gone. You're going to have to recreate an ADR. But if the location is so spectacular and there's no way around the sound issue, then you say, okay, this is the only way to shoot this, and we're going to have to ADR it later. For example, I did a walk and talk once in front of the Kodak Theater in the middle of the day with 1,000 people and Darth Vader and Batman and everybody there. And it didn't matter. We had to get that shot. We had to get it in the crowd, and we knew we were going to ADR it. So in that sense, at least the actor knows, listen, there's no other way to get this shot. There's no other way to get this special location at this special moment. You're going to have to ADR it, but at least we're going to get this production value of the film.
Okay, cool.
2 questions.
Thank you.
I invested in sound libraries, and they're about $1,000 each. You can get for city, you have so many options of how to fully beef